everyone, this is part 2 of stories about Pernell. So I'll just get into it because some of these stories are quite long, but I hope you'll enjoy them. Pernell Roberts lived in a small Japanese-style bungalow, which he rented from the Hollywood Hills Hotel, with a spectacular view of Los Angeles. For years, the hotel management gently tried to persuade him to move out. Pernell taught me to drive a motorcycle in the hotel parking lot. I also became friends with his son Chris, 4 years my junior. He later died in a 1989 motorcycle accident. A Broadway actor, Pernell had a commanding presence. He was charismatic, intelligent, and well-read. Hence, he could speak with great authority on many subjects. He was energetic, curious, had a booming laugh, and a great sense of humor. A wonderful baritone singing voice, always seemed to have a twinkle in his eye, and cared deeply for the underdog. And I, who suffered from panic attacks during auditions, was the consummate underdog. He helped me prepare for auditions for The Graduate, but I didn't get a call back. Pernell edited all my screen and teleplays, none of which was ever optioned, never mind produced. He listened to and made his suggestions to many songs I struggled to compose, which were picked up by a local music publisher, but never by a single recording artist. Even though Pernell must have known that his efforts on my behalf would never pan out, he never gave up on me. Every time he invited me over for dinner, which was often, he inevitably had also invited someone in the business whom he thought could help me. That's nice. He seemed to know and was respected by everybody, at least every serious on-screen and stage actor. In fact, he got my first acting job in 1967 production in Carousel, starring as cigarette-smoking friend Robert Goulet, who played Billy Bigelow. Pernell played the role of Jigger Cragen. Thanks to Pernell, the director Paul Bogart cast me as a sailor in the opening scene, in which I had one speaking line, the only speaking line of my entire acting career. After 2 years of utter failure, I fled Los Angeles and lived overseas for several years. In the process, I lost Pernell's unpublished phone number. I should have made an effort to reconnect, but I was too ashamed. We never spoke again. I'm writing this belatedly to say thank you, Pernell, for your extraordinary kindness and generosity to me long ago. And that's from G. Chavets, and that was in 2010. Well, I guess a lot of these letters came in after Pernell's death. This is another friend or someone that he friended. This is Charles Ames. It is hard to know who to thank for me getting to know Pernell Roberts. I guess you could say it could be the former director of Okefenokee Regional Library, Susan Roberts, along with my New Zealand-born wife, Myra, and just good timing, too. Susan Roberts shired me to come to the Okefenokee Regional Library in Waycross in the early spring of 1988. I knew Pernell Roberts was from Waycross, but my wife was a big fan. She had his record album. Anyways, in the late spring of 1988 and early summer, Pernell was spending a good bit of time in Waycross because his mother was ill. When she died that summer, I noticed the obituary in the paper and told Myra about it, and adding something to the effect he might not be coming back to Waycross now that his parents were deceased. A few days later, I saw Pernell in the Piggly Wiggly. Did not speak to him, but went right home and told Myra about it. Wouldn't he have been recognized in the Piggly Wiggly? Anyway, I guess he's got to eat. We found out where he lived, drove by his house on Correll Road, and he was outside doing some yard work. I suggested we stop, so Myra got out and talked to him for 15 minutes. Myra, who was suffering from metastatic breast cancer, certainly enjoyed that conversation. Pernell knew all about New Zealand and had even conducted some kind of a telethon fundraiser there, so they had much in common. It was the high point of her life. Myra died in May 1989, about the time that Pernell's son, Christopher, died. So Pernell and I developed a bond for losing loved ones. At about the same time, over the next few years, I talked and saw Pernell occasionally, and then in 1991, I was planning a trip to California. Pernell was splitting his time between Northern California and Waycross and suggested to me, why don't you fly out to San Francisco? I can pick you up at the airport. We can drive around a bit. And then after a few days of sightseeing, we can drive down to California coast to my Malibu home, and I can take you to the LAX airport the next morning. It was an offer too good to refuse. You think? Later in that month, in March, I flew to San Francisco, where Pernell met me at the airport. He drove around the Marin Highlands across the Golden Gate Bridge for several hours. Then we brought me back to my hotel, blah, blah, blah. The next day, Pernell and his friend Eleanor picked me up at the hotel, and we ate a great seafood restaurant at Fisherman's Wharf. The next day, I believe was Sunday, I took the ferry boat across San Francisco Bay, and Pernell met me in Larkspur. Along with Eleanor, we drove to McClure Beach, where water was rough, ate restaurant in a Iverness, and had a meal of clams and duck sausage. Ugh. And then we went to Eleanor's home in Novato, where Pernell made his special sourdough French toast. Oh, that's interesting. I believe I had another day of sightseeing in San Francisco. I had lived in San Francisco for a while, so it was nice to go back to familiar places and see new ones. Then on Tuesday, Pernell picked me up in his VW van, and we headed south along the South Pacific Coast Highway, Route 1, and it goes on to talk about, their sightseeing. The next morning after breakfast, Pernell took me to the airport for my return to Jacksonville, then Waycross. That was in March 1991, and I only talked an association with Pernell was for a short time, a bit over 3 years. My times with him were very memorable. Thanks so much to Susan Roberts and my New Zealand wife, Myra, and good timing, and a bit sad timing too, for making it all possible. I guess they bonded over death, the death of his wife, and the death of Pernell's son. I don't see a name of who this person is. Oh yes, Charles Ames. Yeah, so just a fan, really. So I'm going to leave you with this last little note. In May 18th, 2016, with a bit of ribbon cutting, the mayor of Waycross, John Knox, and the city commissioners and the Chamber of Commerce, Ware County commissioners, officially gave the city block-sized green space its new name, the Pernell Roberts Memorial Park at Mary Street, no longer Folks Park or just Mary Street Park. The city had thought about naming a street for the man who was Adam Cartwright, the eldest son of three in the NBC hit series Bonanza, but the commissioners were unable to identify which street or highway. They wanted it to be as special as the Federation Highway they renamed for the actor Ossie Davis, who was also a native son. Oh, I didn't know that. But then last summer, a fan of Pernell Roberts called the mayor's office and voiced her idea. It is special, but not for the playground equipment that dots the expanse, nor the benches or even the small waterway that crosses the park where the boys used to leap off the concrete abutment into the creek. It is special in this context. Pernell played ball there with his friends who shared a soda off the truck Pernell's dad drove, and then had to be chased down sometimes for empty bottles. Dad had to have every empty bottle back, after all. It's in the neighborhood where the actor first told friends he wanted to be an actor as they walked home from elementary school. The school, now closed, is just around the corner. Attended the celebration Roberts' family, friends, fan clubs, neighbors, classmates, and others. A statement from Dr. Eleanor Criswell Roberts, Pernell's widow, was read. Before the ribbon, 2 tributes to Pernell. It was shared an audio tape of Pernell reciting the potent Desiderata of 1993. Lisa Nurambato, who came all the way from Las Vegas, performed the song Endless Road. Pernell Roberts and Hoyt Axton sang the last episode of Bonanza that Pernell did. The event concluded with city workers stretched pink ribbon across the front of the pack-filled park pavilion and snipped. It's official, Mary Park is now Pernell Roberts Park. Yahoo applause lifted up the breeze to the pines of the park. The mayor Knox, who also proclaimed May 18th as Pernell Roberts Day in Waycross. Oh, that's nice. That's Pernell's birthday, May 18th. More importantly, park can embody a concept Pernell held dear. Pernell believed in children. The civil rights advocate frequently hoped that children of all creeds and colors could come together and learn about each other, play together so that one day they could work together in respect and dignity. What better place for this dream to spread than this home in Waycross? It is a great celebration of a wonderful man, and that was in May 18th, 2016. So those are stories of Pernell. I hope you liked all those. I know it was a little bit long-winded, but I enjoyed reading them, so I hope you liked them too. See you next time. Bye.